Alright, welcome again to another Warhammer 40K 6th edition battle report at Greenfield Games. This is the table we are playing on. It is Dan and his Space Wolves versus me and my Pure Grey Knights list. Dan is running 10 Space Wolves in a Razorback twice over. What's the loadout on them? 2 plasma melta.
Plasma melta on each.
Plasma melta on each. Then he's got a Land Raider with 5 Terminators, and the Terminators have
Lightning Claws and Storm Shield and Thunderhammer.
okay, and then a Dreadnought with Assault Cannon and Close Combat. And what's this Space Wolf called?
Wolf Priest. He's essentially a Tech Marine.
Wolf Priest is the Tech Marine version. And that's his whole army. 1250 points we're doing. We're playing the Crusade. Is that the one we're playing? Emperor's Will, sorry. So we each have a base. Dan's placed his base here in the trees. I've placed my base here in these trees. He's deployed first and won the roll-off. And my army is over here. I'm doing a little different thing. I'm doing pure Grey Knights. 10-man squad of Grey Knights with Cybolt ammo and 2 Psychins. This group, the Justicar has a hammer. This group, he does not. Otherwise, they are the same. I'm doing 2 Dreadnoughts, Psy Rifle, Dreads, Cybolt ammo. Doing 5 Terminators. 2 of them have halberds. 1 has a Psy Cannon. And I'm doing 2 Paladins. 1 has Falchions and a Librarian for the HQ, standard 150 point Librarian. Dan is deployed with his vehicles and Dreadnought and Tech Marine, and then I'll deploy and we'll be back with the beginning of the game. Alright, so here's the end of deployment. I was pretty indecisive what to do. Dan's clearly coming forward with Land Raider, which I have no ability to affect. I put the Terminators over here, maybe trying to get out of line of sight with that building. Grey Knights over there, behind that rock. Dread, and then I put the Librarian with these 10-man squad on the objective. And I'm going to deep strike these 2 Paladins. See what happens there. I don't know. I have no way to crack the Land Raider. And
Librarian?
I do have a Librarian, yeah. I need to get roll my powers on that. But we'll be back with the turn 1. So Space Wolf, turn 1. Both the Rhinos move forward 12 inches through the woods. Land Raider moved forward and split its fire. 1 shot into the Terminators. And 1 shot into that Dreadnought. This was ineffective, and this was, I forget, I think it was a miss. This Dreadnought moved forward and fired into the Terminators, killing 1. The Tech Priest moved into this building and ran to the corner, and the HQ ran into the woods. Snapshots were taken at the Grey Knights over here, and they made their save. So that's Space Wolf turn 1. Okay, here's Grey Knight turn 1. The Terminators moved to try and get it close enough to shoot at this Rhino, and were unable to get close enough. So 2 of them were able to snap off shots at the Tech Priest and kill it. And then the remainder of the army, the Dreads, this squad moved forward through the forest, this squad moved forward. Everybody got shots off on this Rhino, and it was wrecked, glanced to death, and then this last squad was able to shoot about half of its squad into these Space Wolves, and they made all their cover saves. And that's how the board looks after turn 1. Okay, here was Space Marine turn 2. The Dreadnought fired at the Terminators focus fire, did some hits, and they made their saves. Climbed into that little building. This thing, Land Raider, took one shot. One shot at the. Where'd you shoot? I think he shot once at my Dread, and once at this squad. Snapshots. And then, I can't remember exactly what the Land Raider did, but then the Space Wolves moved into the forest, and plasma shot out of this Rhino, killed 5 there, and yeah, that's about it. We'll be back with Grey Knight turn 2. That's what the board looks like. Oh, those guys made their leadership, so they're staying around. Alright, here was Grey Knight turn 2. The Terminators shot out. They should have shot first, but I shot them last, and they ended up being out of range because this squad and this squad shot into the Space Wolves, as did this Dreadnought, and we killed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We killed 7. They're going to do a leadership test, and then I rolled 4 hits with the Dreadnought on this Rhino, and did not wound. Rolled all 1s and 2s, so that was classic rolling on my part, and that's the end of the turn. You want to make that leadership check?
I feel it.
They are running. And they're running 4. Alright. Alright, in the Space Wolf turn 3, this Rhino moved forward and popped smoke, and this squad popped out and squeezed next to it. They dumped rapid fire into this squad and wiped it out. This Land Raider moved forward and did a hull point onto the Dreadnought and fired ineffectively snapshots at the Termies. Then the Termies popped out. 1 Grey Knight died in the assault cannon, but then these guys rolled a 4 on their charge, and the grav generator made them only be able to charge 2 inches. They failed their charge. And then basically the Dreadnought turned around, assaulted the Paladins, and wiped them out in a single turn. And that's the board where we're at now. We'll be back with turn 3 for the Grey Knights. Alright, this was not a great turn for the Grey Knights. Everybody dumped fire. Yes, the entire army dumped fire into the Terminators and managed to kill 1. All the Dreads, that squad, and just many saves were made. We'll be back with Space Wolf turn 4. Alright, the turn went as such. This guy ran forward 12 and tried to snapshot multi-melta, didn't work. These guys fired autocannon and killed, I don't know if they killed any, maybe killed 1, and then tried to assault, and because of the grav wave generator and low rolling, were unable to charge. These guys lost 1 and passed leadership. So still hanging in there. That's what the table looks like. We'll be back with more. Okay, at the end of Grey Knight turn 4, I was able to turn the tide a little bit for myself. I strung out these Terminators to get close to his Terminators and still make my full side cannon shots. Fired them into his Terminators, fired this whole squad into his Terminators, and did really well. I got like 5 Wrens with these side cannon shots over here, and was luckily able to wipe out 4 Terminators in that amount of shooting. Did some long distance shooting into his Wolves over there, and they made all their covers, they made all their armor saves, and did some shooting into the front of the Rhino here, exploded it, and killed 2. So was able to turn the tide a little bit on this turn. We'll see how we go into turn 5. Alright, for Space Wolf turn 5, the Dreadnought fired its Salt Cannon and killed 2 Terminators. I'm really good at rolling 1s on Terminator armor saves. And these guys moved forward and tried a bunch of some Melta, and Las Cannon from the Land Raider. All tried to affect the Dreadnought here, and then finally this Plasma guy took out and exploded the Dreadnought. And so that was a pretty good turn for Space Wolves. They blew up a Dreadnought, they killed 2 Termies, made my leadership save, and we'll be back with my turn 5. Okay, here was Grey Knight turn 5. Jostled around a little bit in the forest, moved forward with my last Terminator, and everybody fired into the Space Wolves. We killed 4 of them, and they passed their leadership. So, end of 5. Do we roll to see if the game goes on? The game does go on. We'll be back for turn 6. Okay, moving quickly at the end of the game here, turn 6 for the Space Wolves, these 4 guys, and the Land Raider fired into the Grey Knights, killing 2, and the Dreadnought ran forward, and that was all that was done in turn 6. We'll be back with my turn 6. Okay, this was the end of turn 6 for the Grey Knights, and the Lonely Terminator and the Commander and Grey Knight squad he's attached to all fired into the Space Wolves here and wiped them out. And then this had line of sight and range on these wolves over here, and they killed 1. So I guess we roll again to see if the game goes on.
On a 3 up. So it continues.
It continues again. Alright, so here's how Space Wolf ended up.
Because of the one guy. That's
right.
So true.
So basically he tried to assault me, he needed an 11, didn't make it. Dumped fire of all the Land Raider into the Grey Knights here and killed 3. So they come off. And then basically what would happen then, on my turn, I'd be able to move within here. I could get back within this objective. So that means that I would, at the end of the game, I'd be holding my objective. Dan would be holding his objective.
You got first blood.
And I have first blood.
So it's 4-3.
And there's...
Nothing else matters.
Oh, right, because there's no possible... That's a vehicle, so you can't even get line breaker with that. So it's... I have 4 points, and you have 3. Damn good game. That was a real nail-biter there. I thought I was pretty much totally finished when that one round when I only killed 1 Terminator and your Terminators were just bearing down on me. This grab generator was quite useful. That would have changed.
You failed your charge twice.
You failed your charge twice because of that grab generator. That was unfortunate for you, but dice rolls, I think it was pretty even. I had a few really lucky ones and a few really unlucky ones, but Dan kind of had the same. Good job of holding, he was able to hold his objective back here, kept his Warlord protected, and pat on the back for me for holding my own in an army that had absolutely no ability to crack his Land Raider. So, wow, managed to pull this one out. And that's another battle report from Greenfield Games in Greenfield, Massachusetts. That was a 1250 game, Grey Knights versus Space Wolves. Hope you enjoyed it. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, like the videos. We appreciate all that stuff. Leave comments. And we'll be back with more battle reports.